your DIY hot cocoa bomb kit from the Char-Kuhnerie. Each kit will include 2 packets of hot cocoa mix, 1 bag of marshmallows, 4 cookie mug toppers, a 1-ounce portion cup of holiday sprinkles, a few peppermint candy puffs, 1 piping bag with white chocolate melting squares, and 8 milk chocolate spheres. You will need a few other household items to make your holiday cocoa bombs. One is a microwave safe plate to melt the edges of your bombs. The other is a microwave safe bowl to melt your chocolate squares, some scissors, and I use a wax warmer to melt my spheres. You don't need one, but I use one and I'll show you why. First, you will break up your white chocolate squares in the microwave safe bowl. You will put the bowl into the microwave at 50% power for 15-second increments until it is all melted, and then let it come to room temperature. Your microwave safe plate will be popped into the microwave at different times for when you melt the edges of your chocolate spheres. I use a wax warmer, but that's usually because I'm melting several chocolate spheres at a time, and I use consistent heat. I got them for $1 at Dollar Tree. You can use a skillet, but don't use a pan because the pan will hold in a lot of heat on those edges and it'll end up melting your whole sphere. Now you're going to start with your 2 spheres. Get your warm plate or your wax warmer. Make sure that your hot cocoa packet is open and get all of your items ready to put into your molds. Take your first sphere and carefully put it on your warm plate or your wax warmer and melt the edges. You can turn it to make sure that they're melting evenly. Then gently take it off of the warmer and put half of the packet of the cocoa mix in your bomb. You don't need to put a lot because there's a lot of chocolate in your sphere. Now you can add your marshmallows, if you have any additional sprinkles, and your candy inside of your sphere. Just try to make sure that you keep the edges clear so that way you can mold your other sphere. Then you will start to melt the other half on your wax warmer or your warm plate, making sure that it's melting evenly. Gently take it off of the warmer and gently secure it to the other half of your mold. It doesn't take much for it to hold. You'll notice that there's some melted chocolate where the 2 were combined. You can take your finger and spread that melted chocolate around the edges to get a better seal. Sometimes you're going to have gaps that you're not going to be able to seal, and you can use some of the extra melted chocolate on your warm plate or the wax warmer to fill in those gaps. Just gently rub it around those edges. You may have to do this a couple of times to fill in as many gaps as you can. Let it sit for a few seconds, and if you find that there are more gaps that you would like to fill, you can always use your melted chocolate to better secure the sides. When the chocolate has been poured into your piping bag, I usually keep it in a cup of warm water to keep it melted until I need it. You will knead the chocolate towards the pointing side of the bag, and then use your scissors to cut a very small hole at the end. Sometimes your chocolate might harden at that point, but if you massage it a little bit or run it under warm water, it'll melt up again. Sometimes I will knead it through just to make sure I'm getting a decent flow. Feel fine to knead out as much chocolate as you need to get the flow that you're looking for. After your mold has been sitting for a couple of seconds, you can grab your piping bag and use it to seal in any gaps that you might have at the seam. Pipe the chocolate in there and then spread it around with your fingers to create a better seal. You may have to do this a couple of times to make sure that it's secure. Now you are ready to decorate your sphere. Get your sprinkles ready, any crushed candy that you might want to put on the outside. Grab your piping bag and squeeze it again to see if your chocolate is going to come out evenly. Let it run for a while for a steady stream of chocolate to go over your bomb. If it clogs up, again, you can just knead the end or run it under some warm water. You might want to dry it off once you run it under the warm water. Squeeze it to get a good flow and decorate your sphere. Now you're going to top it with your sprinkles, any crushed candy bars that you might have. Now you can set it back into your cupcake holder and let it sit for a few minutes until you're ready to enjoy it. After a few minutes, you can grab your hot water or your warm milk and pour it over your bomb. Gently place your bomb into a large mug. Grab your warm liquid and slowly pour it over your bomb, keeping a steady stream. Your goal is to have that puncture through there where your cocoa and your marshmallows are hiding. Finally, stir up what you created and then top it with your cookie mug topper and enjoy. I've added a second portion to this video for a different way to mold your bombs together. This might be a little easier for some of you, so stay tuned for that section. You're going to start by taking one of your half spheres without melting the edges. You're going to pour your hot cocoa mix, your marshmallows, and any candy sprinkles that you might have, making sure to keep the edges clear. Next, you will take your piping bag and slowly spread your melted chocolate around all of the edges. You will grab your bag of melted chocolate and slowly and carefully spread it around the edges of your chocolate mold. It's okay if it drizzles down the side, it'll just add more for decoration. And you can put as little or as much as you want. The more you put, the better it's going to hold. You might need to knead your bag a couple of times to keep the flow going, but just keep taking it around the edges and getting a good layer of chocolate cement going. Next, you will take your other half of your chocolate sphere and gently place it on that chocolate cement to create a nice seal. If you find some gaps, you can take your melted chocolate and just seal those up. You can leave the cement as it is, or you can smear it with your finger. You could also let it sit for a few seconds and roll it in sprinkles if you wanted to. Now it is ready to decorate. Grab your piping bag, knead it through some more, and create a nice stream of chocolate drizzle. If it's not coming out so easy, go ahead and melt it down some. Add your sprinkles to the top and let it sit for a couple of minutes, and it's going to be ready to enjoy now.